us, and it's last week of the tournament. Where have you been? This is a standard mode race with randomized swords, which means that the uncle will give us a random weapon. One of about 8 different weapons, could be. First test is just arrows. Leslie, what are you looking forward to? What are you hoping we see from the uncle here today?
Well, seeing the arrows, I think it's foreshadowing the bow on Uncle.
That would be pretty interesting. Bow's interesting in that it, assuming Eastern's an early crystal, could send our runners over there early. Though an early bow typically will, they'll be pinned at Eastern most of the time. But we do get Cane of Burna, in fact.
And TJ did a fast magic here. We do have Crystal Eastern, but no bow this time.
We see a quick little bit of farming there from zelgadissan. I like that when you get the Cane of Burna to try and kill these 2 guards early and make use of those 2 magic pots there in the Uncle drop down. Both our runners are going to be looking for bombs here to get into the back 3 chests and escape. So, and with Cane of Burna, that can be pretty difficult.
So they've been using bushes and upcoming pots to do the farming for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to use every resource you have available to you. And unfortunately, just due to the nature of the way Cane of Burna works, you need practically all that magic to kill the required enemies here.
Well, if we really want magic refills, you can save and quit right after you push open the mentor to a sewers, and it will give you a small magic refill, but it also costs time.
Absolutely. And when you have 2 runners of this caliber racing against one another, every second counts. So I don't foresee too much farming. I think they'll both try to get through this as quick as they can while still trying to get some bombs.
Yeah, with 300 rupees in hand, they can buy bombs whenever. Well, that's for Kakariko, at least. The bank of save, we'll see.
So still nothing off these guards, though TGH has gotten a couple of big 20 drops. And Zelda's cell just contains a heart container. Yeah, one of the things that some people may not be aware of with Cane of Burna is that the magic use from activating it is actually the big limiting factor. So you can't really use it to sporadically farm. The best place if you're going to try and farm here and escape with Cane of Burna is actually going to be in the rope room once we get down into the sewers. Because you can just activate it and kill all those enemies fairly quickly. We'll see if either runner elects to do that and maybe, get a little magic refill from some of the pots down there.
Mm-hmm.
And zelgadissan getting a nice bomb drop there. That could be interesting if TGH is unable to find one.
Yep, that's a green guard drop. He killed a lot more than TJ, so he digs deep into a prize pool to find that. So TJ is unlikely to find the bomb from green guard. Let's see if the rope will be his friend here.
I'm sure that's what he is hoping for, either the ropes or the rats later on in the sewers. And like I said, they do have to be careful because they need to be able to activate that cane, kill the key rat coming up here shortly. And TGH opting to play it safe. He's not even going to try to farm off those enemies there.
Well, Power Glove that mitigates the bomb problem because he can get back to the back of stage pretty quickly with that.
Yeah, I'm sure that is a huge weight off of TGH's mind there. The worst case scenario with that back of escape chest, if you're unable to find a bomb here, is if Power Gloves are in there, because that means you're going to have to be making a trip all the way back in to get it. And you won't be able to take the shortcut down the drop down in Graveyard. So just a 10 bomb drop, a heart container, piece of heart. So not much missed there for TGH, but that is very nice for zelgadissan, as it means he's going to have all the bombs he'll need for Kakariko.
And he doesn't need to open the sanctuary chest because he knows everything else that's gonna be a map.
Yep, yeah, he knew that. TGH unfortunately did not, since he was unable to get to those chests. The TGH does now know that there are definitely 3 items in there. Yeah, we might see a little divergence here. TGH not having any bombs is going to head up towards the lumberjack area, check out these tree pulls. Though, looks like zelgadissan actually might be following him. I know that I've seen some runners opt to head straight to Kakariko if they have enough bombs.
The 20s from Bushcat, that's pretty nice.
Yep, we're already getting to the point where we don't need much more money. Just need a little bit more for King Zora, Bottle Vendor, and of course getting into pod if that ends up being necessary.
So TGH been to the lumberjack area, did not check tree. Zelda checked it, piece of heart.
Yeah, from TGH's perspective, I imagine that he's thinking that item is not in my mind until I find boots. If he does find boots, he can route in the lumberjack ledge check with, going into Death Mountain or graveyard ledge check later on if he's got the mirror. So he'll put that off for now. But zelgadissan knows right away that's not going to be necessary.
Meanwhile, TJ is checking the tier 1 triple, gets more big 20s out of that.
Yeah, but unfortunately no bombs. I'm sure he would have traded that for a bomb pull there. He's going to have to route Kakariko a little bit differently than zelgadissan will. Just slightly less efficient. Does find a sword in the back of Tavern. So now that's the lamp and that's the sword. Finding those 2 really early, while nice to have those items, can get a little bit scary thinking, is Agahnim required? We are really only 1 item away from it.
But since lumberjack item is not our Agahnim requirement, so they would want to find a moon pearl before actually going there, so they can actually do things in Dark World.
Oh, absolutely. Do find the flute in Blind's hut. And some more money. So zelgadissan already has practically all the money he's going to need for this seed.
The boots though in Kakariko well, so all the mobility items early other than the hook shot.
Yeah, this is a very interesting seed early on. I imagine that our runners will be checking everything before having to make that Agahnim call. And as you said, not having the Moon Pearl, already having gloves. you know, it's not something you're worrying about right this second, but that early sword and lamp definitely puts it in your mind at least a little bit.
Yeah, with that power glove and all the rupees in the world, they could be thinking about Zora right now.
Yeah, Sword is in the logic at the moment. I would probably would like to see the Moon Pearl first, just so you know they can fake Flipper and get all that stuff done at the same time if they were thinking about that.
Also, a disclaimer: those rupees are not part of logic for Zora, just making fun of their existence.
Yeah, absolutely. TGH finds a bottle on library ledge. Let's see if he ends up going back to Sick Kid or if he just puts that off for in favor of another check. It looks like he will be heading back though.
With Flute there, she can go to South Shore very quick.
It's just a 5-bomb upgrade. And having those boots now, TGH, I think he's going to go do... Looks like he's going to check the Lumberjack Ledge now that he has those boots. And also having seen this early sword and lamp.
Also, according to our tracker, TJH never activated his flute.
That's interesting. I mean, because of the way he had to route Kakariko, he had already kind of passed by it a couple times. But it is interesting that he decided not to activate it. Is going to route in Bonk Rocks here, though. So we'll see what this ends up being. While zelgadissan actually flutes straight over to the dam, and we'll be doing the South Shore stuff first. Oh no!
So, Zelda finds the Moon Pearl in the dam, while TJ finds the cave in Bunk Rock. So that's our Agahnim access and East Darkroad access. Not a lot, not a lot we can do there because we don't have the bow for potentially Bollock pot, but
yeah, and these runners are almost certainly going to be putting off Aga for as long as they can. They're only one item away from Dark World access. At least zelgadissan is with that Moon Pearl and Glove. So they're probably going to be checking everything they can before making that Agahnim call.
yeah, with left flute, it's pretty quick to check everything you can because the both out of play location, namely Aginas and Ice Rock Cave, are both flutable.
And finding that pearl actually for zelgadissan is going to make his routing here, could potentially make his routing here really efficient. Having those boots as well. We'll see if he attempts to go for the water walking glitch here. Yep, he is doing the water walking glitch. So, for those who are unaware, if you have boots and you're going up here to Ice Rod Cave, and you want to check all your water locations, you can set up a water walking glitch with the boots there by dashing along the edge of the pit in Ice Rod Cave. And then you can do exactly what zelgadissan is doing right now, which is walking on water. And it'll make these checks here much, much more efficient.
Because you run faster than flippering, no matter real or fake.
Absolutely. It doesn't mean the one check that he's not going to be able to do is Hobo, but still is going to be able to get a lot of these checks done really quickly. Obviously, won't be able to get that bug net, but he's not worried about that, I'm sure. But unfortunately, King Zora even more of a scam artist than usual. Just a 5 rupee drop from that.
So not much else left for the runners other than a Gears Cave or the first two items in Death Mountain, the Old Man and the Spectral Rock Cave.
Yeah, Death Mountain not going to hold much. Not much is going to be available to them, but it's good to get this warp point. Get the Old Man to the cave just so you can save and quit to there, should need be. It's less important with the flute, but you can also see what that item is. And as I mentioned, they're going to be checking everything they can before having to make that Agahnim play.
So the interesting thing about Omen is you don't want to dash in it because you are going to dash at walking speed and lose time on the startup.
Yep, but the Old Man cannot run as fast as Link, or in this case, a Squirtle can. TGH gonna showing off a little bit there with the hovers to get the big 20.
Totally worse, right?
You know, you gotta show off a little bit sometimes. But Death Mountain not paying off at all. So TGH going to head straight to Eastern. I'll check Saha and probably dip Eastern as well.
The most dense locations left.
You find a piece of heart, a single rupee, and a 5-arrow upgrade. So Hospital holding out on us, the seed.
Yep. He's not going to Eastern just yet.
Yes, he's going to make these the Ice Rod Cave check and then route in all the Lake Hylia stuff. So he'll be doing that while zelgadissan heads into Eastern Palace.
2 or 3 items here, depending who the armor test one. I like how they're exhausting all options before Agahnim because, like I said, without bow, E-Stock Roll doesn't really have anything. If the pot is bow locked, it's just Catfish, I think, and Pyramid.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you never want to do Agahnim if it's not required. Just because if it's not required, there's every possibility that your opponent didn't do it, and that's just time wasted on your end. So still a few checks remaining. Neither runner has been to Desert yet. Still have Eastern Palace here to finish up. We're actually going to get our first look at Hobo here on TGH's side. Just a blue mail for his trouble.
Well, we have first item here in Eastern, a piece of heart, and a big key is in the first chest, so we could they have a chance not needing to go to the big key chest.
Yep, we'll see what's in these next 2 chests for zelgadissan. Though that chest is in logic with that lamp, so Oh wow, the bow.
Wow. Just wow.
So French vanilla bow in Eastern Palace. That means we're going to be completing this one, folks.
Mhm.
Well, the good news for our runners here is that they were going to be doing this regardless. You know, if this were a seed where, you know, they already had Dark World access, no reason to go into Eastern Palace, it might have been a while before they decided to make that dip into Eastern to find it. But they will almost certainly both be getting that here shortly.
Mhm.
Unless TGH, is he going to make the gamble?
Excited. So about the Bolak pod, there's a potion glitch that can make you bypass that. So they have a green goo, so TJ can do that. That would be illogical for him, but we know since Zelda has the bow that it's going to be valid.
Yeah, you know, I mean, for TGH, he could be right, and Naga could definitely be required. But unfortunately for him, yeah, once he gets to the Dark World, he's Zelda will.
Yeah, even without the potion, TJ just showed us he can hover. The right hand side can be hovered too.
It is true. See if he decides to do that once he gets the pod. He does have a green potion to potion glitch over.
Mm-hmm. I mean, at this point, the progression is either in a Gina or Pod. So the Agahnim play is correct, but it's just going to miss out the bow for a while. Maybe missed out on a Helmosaur if the hammer is in Pod.
Right, and you know, Hammer could be on the pyramid even. So it's, yeah, could be bad news for him. It could mean that he is going to be required to double dip pod. But Zelgadissan closing in on his final checks. Agnes Cave, just a piece of heart.
Looks like we do have the Agahnim required seed in our hands.
Yeah, I think the only thing that Zelgadissan hasn't done at this point is Hobo, which we know is Blue Mail. So it looks like he's going to make that check now, and then we'll probably be joining TGH heading up Agus Tower. Probably right around the time that TGH is finishing up Aga 1.
Mm-hmm. One blue ball. So one of the better feature of the randomizer is the number of blue ball you see on TJ's side, Zelda is gonna have the same.
Yeah, absolutely. In this type of race, you don't really want RNG to come into play too much. So both runners will get the same pattern from Agahnim here. The only thing that would make the fight any slower for Zelga is if he were to, miss one, which I don't generally foresee with runners of this skill level. But we're already on to third cycle here. I think we're just one away.
Yeah. Yep. I think there was 5 blue balls. A handful.
So a little more than average. Usually you see, about round 3 in your average AGA 1 fight.
So
I believe Catfish is also open to TGH.
Yep. So interesting thing is if TGH finds out this part is bow locked, he probably also knows the bow is in Eastern or Agahnim because that's the only thing left in Light Watch for him.
Yep, or could be at Catfish if he's going by that logic as well. So it'll be interesting to see how this Palace of Darkness is laid out. And the moment of truth. Palace of Darkness is bow locked, so that gives TGH some good information.
And he's not using the any kind of minor glitches to go to the Bolak side. He's straight to Eastern. He knows it's there.
Yeah, he knows something is there, and whatever that something is has to lead to the bow. But I think this is just a testament to the quality of runner that TGH is. He knows the logic. And you saw there was no hesitation on his part. As soon as he saw that Pod was bow locked, instantly saved and quit, instantly went back to Eastern. We also didn't see a map check from TGH, so we still don't know if Pod is a crystal or a pendant.
Well, we'll know from Zelga's side once he enters from the music.
Yeah, I was about to say we didn't get the music from TGH, so we don't know, but he does. zelgadissan having a little rhythm game, I guess, while he fights Agahnim. You got to make that fight interesting somehow. And TGH gets his bow, so it's like, yep, I knew there had to be something here.
So Zelda avoiding double dip for now is slightly ahead, entering pot.
Definitely has just a slight lead over TGH here. You know, given how linear things are, it's a little bit easier to tell in these sorts of seeds because both runners we're gonna end up having to do the same thing regardless. But it's really going to come down to once the seed opens up and we get a little more divergence for someone to really take a lead. And we see a map check here. Green pin at Thieves Town, never like seeing that. And red pin at Ice Palace.
And our last 5/6 crystal is at Mire.
I do find it interesting that both runners opted to skip Catfish. Obviously, Pod's going to be the more item-dense location, but feel like Hammer is probably lurking somewhere. Could be in this area, could be at Catfish. But it seems like both of them just wanted to get into the dungeon as quickly as possible.
Well, you can go to Catfish after you leave Pod, but because it's up there, if you want to go to West Dock Road, you still have to go past there. On the other hand, it's just such a long walk, and no one wants to bother.
Yeah, Catfish is definitely one of those locations. Feels like you either do it every single time or you put it off forever. It really just comes down to runner preference. I know a lot of people, myself included, like to route it in with Pyramid Check, Fat Fairy, just to make it a little bit more item efficient. But when we now see the price of not having the hammer here in Palace of Darkness, zelgadissan is going to have to take a death warp here to get back to the front.
The trap does one heart regardless of mel. Normally it's a hassle, but this time, for this instance, it's a blessing.
Yeah, and TGH could make up a bit of time here on zelgadissan if he does do that. Although it looks like he's not going to do that hover you mentioned.
Well, he does not have the key.
He can't get over there. Never mind. Yeah. I'm sure he probably would if he could, but.
Looks like everything is back this seed.
Yeah, and it's kind of normal with the pod key layout. Those front 6 chests will contain at least 4 small keys almost every time, I believe, just to prevent any sort of soft lock situation. So it usually means that the back half is going to be where the party is. Can we find a mirror?
Well, that's progression to Hera. Not much else just yet.
Yeah, it is handy for this dungeon though, and probably would have been handier for them to have just a minute ago when they had the death warp, but I'm sure neither runner will turn that down. We're going to get our last 3 item checks here before both the runners are going to have to leave here. And yeah, they're really the only option at this point is to head straight up to Hera.
Well, there's also catfish. Like you said, he might want to do that before.
Where's zelgadissan heading? I think he has forgotten that he doesn't have hammer.
Yep, sounds like it. Looks like
And
it.
unfortunately, he's going to be in for a rude awakening when he gets down into the basement. There he goes. He pulls out the bow to shoot the statue and was like, oh, wait. I'm missing something.
Yeah, he was trying to make his hammer and realized that.
So that's actually going to allow TGH to catch up a little bit here, and he's going to be hot on zelgadissan's heels heading up the mountain.
Yep, there's only one destination with their current progression, Tower of Hera. 2 items.
Yeah, but at this point, you're you're pretty much guaranteed progression here. That is true. Chat pointing out Sojao. Thank you. Catfish still could have something. But at the very least, this is a crystal dungeon. Our runners can complete it. While we're saying that, there are the mitts.
Well, this is a pendant dungeon, but don't think the runners will want to complete it, but they will at least want to drain out its items.
That is correct. It is actually a pendant dungeon. My bad. But yes, looks like they are going to, at the very least, grab the items from here. And Hera is such a quick dungeon. You know, it's definitely one of those ones you, even if it's a pendant, you're like, well, at least get the items, kill the boss, just in case this is a pedestal seed.
It's fast until an item is trapped in tile room. Good thing it's not.
Yeah, both runners gonna say nope, mirror out, and with this sync, we're gonna get double fluting away. Both of them going straight to the Mire area.
Yeah, Mire plus desert. That's quick. The only medallion not on hash on Mire.
Does that mean Quake and Samaria are going to be our go mode items?
Could be.
Well, we do find the Master Sword there in the Mire shed, which is nice, along with the Fire Shield. And Silver's in Checkerboard Cave, so the Mire area paying out.
Yep, all the equipment. So TGH going to desert before Checkerboard Cave is not going to have silvers for his Levolus fight.
Yeah, that could definitely cost him some time because unfortunately right now he does not have a super efficient weapon for dealing with land though. He'll probably be kicking himself a little bit once he goes over to Checkboard Cave and does find those silvers. Unless he finds something in here, like, Fire Rod. Finds 50 rupees in Desert Palace. I believe there's still one item remaining, and TGH is going to take a gamble that it's on Landmo and not in the big chest.
Mm-hmm. Same with Zelda. You have to beat the noise regardless, so just do it first.
Absolutely makes sense.
And go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna say, and when I say gamble, I'm not even necessarily calling it a bad play. I think it's a great play, but you are gambling that it's not going to be here, or it is going to be here rather, not going to be in the big chest.
Mm-hmm. While we're still doing so many progressions, 14 minutes into the season.
Yeah, and they will have to go back in for that big chest. That was a really, really clean fight on TGH's end with just the bow.
Yeah, the no major glitches fight. It's bow and the sword.
Yeah, Zelgadissan's was definitely quicker, but very impressive for TGH there. So both runners picking up their bottle of green goo. TGH is going to be portaling back and going to Checkboard Cave, while Zelgadissan will be fluting off and heading over to this Dark World portal over in Kakariko. TGH nearly walking out. I was like, "What? Oh, wait, nope. That's not a boo. That's not a arrow upgrade. That's silvers."
Mm-hmm. Zelda doing the north part of Dark World into Gold first, then probably the Bumper Cave and Graveyard Ledge into King's Tomb.
Yeah, I like this routing with Boots and Mire. Skullwoods on its own is only 2 items, so it can be less appealing in standard mode, but you can route that in with all the other checks in North Dark World. Yeah, I definitely like this play from both runners.
It should be less appealing, but then version 23 happened where everything is in Skullwoods. It leaves a mark at least.
Yeah, it's definitely something I've noticed a lot of more experienced runners doing quite a bit. Early Skullwoods, not really the case so much in version 29 anymore, but yeah, old habits die hard. Zelga having some trouble here with the Gibdos. Getting that statue in place.
It could use the silver arrows to one-shot those, but that caused the menu.
Yeah, because the menu might lag the screen a little bit. It's kind of the quickest way to do things oftentimes with rooms like this is to just ignore the enemies, but that time they kind of got the better of Zelda there.
Mm-hmm. Looks like we found no item in Skullwoods yet, so both items is going to be fire unlocked.
Yep, they'll both be in the back of Skull Woods. We see Mushroom on Bumper Cave Ledge. We're gonna be going for that.
They don't have the flippers, so they cannot access the Wish Hut from Dark World.
Nope, they would have to go back to the Hyrule Castle portal. That's probably the most convenient spot for them to do it.
That's gonna be most convenient if they want to route in Catfish, but if they just want to turn in a mushroom, they just flew to 2.
It's true. I wonder if we'll see a save and quit. A save and quit and then head straight over there and hard reset if mushroom ends up being nothing. You typically want to hang on to your mushroom as long as you can without having to turn it in, just so you can fake powder if necessary.
Well, both up to pick up that blue boomerang for whatever reason.
Well, the blue boomerang does allow you to do some pretty neat tricks in Ganon's tower, and it's preferable to the red boomerang, so...
Mm-hmm.
And we do see a save and quit here from zelgadissan after King's Tomb. Let's see where he decides to head next.
TJ just turning the mushroom directly.
And it's just a big 20. So now TGH did not save and quit, so he is not going to be doing a hard reset. Zelga will. So that means that Zelga-san, if he does find the red cane, will be able to do the fake powder glitch for Magic Bat. TGH will not.
So accidentally load the wrong file.
Oops. Yep, I did see him. Yeah, he had the bottom file. It's hard to remember because if you soft reset, if you say just save and quit, I should say, it automatically defaults back to your selected save file. But hard resetting sets it back to the first one. Good that obviously he realized it right away, but I remember the Key Sanity tournament that happening, unfortunately, to Ben in a race versus Andy. So.
Well, it's really obvious in the center ball because, the uncle.
Yeah, way more obvious in standard mode than it is in open Key Sandy, so no big deal. It just gets right back to it. And it's going to start going through Village of Outcasts.
Doing the Smith loop, hoping for never needing to dive into Thieves Town from TGH.
I can only speak from personal experience when I say you skip Pendant Thieves Town at your own peril. It just feels like it always has at least one item in there that's necessary.
So we finally have a divergence. TGH doing the blacksmith line, while Zelda is right into Thieves Town for the first 4 at least.
Yeah, but fortunately, so far, nothing. I believe that was the map and the compass in the first two chests.
Yep. We could have a 0 out of 4 first 4.
Best case scenario, we're looking at a one item out of 4 here in the front. We'll see what Zelda opts to do. I mean, it kind of feels like you're committed at this point once you dive in this dungeon and you only find one item.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, we did see TGH grab the red nail off the blacksmith there.
Doing the southern dark world loop with the purple chest.
He finds bombos. Could still be required. As a means to get into Ice Palace, even though it's a pendant, or to get into Turtle Rock.
Yep, and that actually opens the Ice Pass for him, and not a whole dungeon because lacking a hammer. Oh,
Yeah,
football that has, right?
Right. Yeah, everything but Quake. He does need flippers for Ice Palace too. So
Oh yeah.
I'm sure that has not even entered his mind at this point.
Nope, no one wants to go to Ice Pass or Swamp Pass without a hammer.
Just some bombs off the purple chest, so this rat not paying off from so far. We'll get to check Hype Cave before he's done over here.
So if you believe in the hash, that would put Samaria on the dig spot, right?
It could be. Oh no, and zelgadissan finds the small key in the maiden's chest, which means I believe that means there's an item in there.
Well, that's all of our medallions and the flippers, so that actually does open Ice Palace for him.
Oh boy. So now TGH has some decisions to make, and none of them seem very appealing.
Wow, the most appealing right now is turning that powder.
Yeah, it looks like TGH is going to bite the bullet and head into Thieves Town.
So dungeon-wise, we have some dungeons opens, but none of them are going to be completable. They have one chest in swamp, a few in ice, and everything other than pictures in Mire.
Yep, and of course, there's still an item in Thieves Town as well. Won't be able to get it until the hammer is found, but it's always one of those things that kind of gnaws at the back of your mind if you complete Thieves Town without getting that chest and having to leave. But yeah, a whole bunch of dungeons accessible at this point, but none of them completable.
So which of the above choice would be the most appealing to you?
Oh man, that's so tough. You know, I would probably risk going into a crystal dungeon before I would go into a pendant dungeon.
Yeah.
Probably look at Mire first.
Mhm.
It's only 2 items, but you know, you never know. You might find the cane in there.
Yeah, looks like Chad agrees with you. It looks like everyone's first choice is Mire this seed.
Yeah, without hammer, I wouldn't go to swamp. Just too few chests you can check. There's really only one item you can check without the hammer there. I think at this point, I think you dip Mire, you see if you can find a progression in there, and then you dip Ice Palace. Neither option is super appealing, but I think those are your best options at this point. And sort of interesting point here, TGH, having found that powder when he did, now coming back to this area, is going to be able to do that check before Zelda does. And we were kind of assuming that that check was going to be a potential benefit to Zelda instead when he hard reset to keep the mushroom.
But it's not going to be a long check for Zelda too because of Bluetooth 3 with the mist portal, it's relatively fast.
Yeah, I just wonder if when he goes back there, because that's only going to be one item check versus, I think, other locations which are going to be more appealing.
I mean, it's one item here, one item there at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably expect him to save that until he has hammer, potentially, so that he can do hammer pegs, magic bat, just kind of all in one when he goes back. And, get the last time in Thieves Town if he still needs progression.
Looks like doubling down on the Thieves Town play, turning the green pendant.
So neither Magic Bat or Green Pendant turns out to be progression for our runners. And yeah, I think at this point, there's really no choice but to check one of these dungeons.
Go
sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
So, after all this time, it could still be on Catfish.
It could be. Our progression could still be there. I will laugh if Hammer's there. But I really love this. The two options we were discussing, both runners are going to choose one. Zelgadissan heading into Mire while TGH checks out Pendant Ice Palace. We mentioned it earlier that the race had been really, really linear up to this point. But yeah, as soon as things kind of opened up a little bit, we're going to get some interesting divergence, and it's really going to come down to who finds what first.
Here's your hammer.
Well. So Mire holds our progression. Zelgadissan will continue on searching here. Gonna try and find the second item and the big key. just so when he comes back here later, he doesn't have to do any more looking. He just heads straight back to Vitreous.
Well, that's a big find, but for all we know, TGS could find a hook shot in here. That's also going to be big.
Yeah, if TGH finds any sort of progression here in Ice Palace, that could be pretty bad news for Zelga. Just because he's going to have some more options opened up. He can go finish Palace of Darkness. He can do more of Swamp now. Yeah, he might get pushed away from Ice Palace, but we still don't know if there's anything in here. So
The most important part about the hammer, that's Dark Death Mountain SS, Dark Death Mountain and East Death Mountain.
yeah. And regardless, I fully expect TGH to head over here to Mire as soon as he's done in Ice Palace.
I think TGS still have 2 chests left here in Ice Palace, the switched spike chest and the big chest.
Yep, he is blocked off from 2 of the chests on the right side of Ice Palace. Oh, we're getting a hover here. Has to be careful. The bar. Oh no! Come on, Bari. Don't be like that. So the Bari plays offensive lineman, if I can use a American football term. Just not letting him through. But TGH does eventually get get through there.
Finding a second item in Mire in the last location before Victorious, a B-Torp.
Well, from Zelga's point of view, oh wow.
Looks like we have a witch in chat.
TGH finds the fire rod in the Ice Palace big chest. It might be a while before Zelga finds that. So in the end, both plays end up being required. Required double dip into Misery Mire, and required dip into Ice Palace for that fire rod. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this race has officially gotten interesting. We find out Quake is also going to open up Turtle Rock, so zelgadissan will open that now. So having gotten that fire rod, TGH heads straight back to Skull Woods to finish off Mothula.
Meanwhile, Zelda with that hammer is going to check the light and dark death mountain.
Hey, Zelgadissan finds half magic there in the one accessible chest without hookshot in Hookshot Cave.
The question now is, when will they find what each other have?
Oh, I think TGH will find Hammer well before Zelda finds Fire Rod, because TGH is going to be out of options here pretty quickly. Once he finishes off Mothula, he's really not going to have any other option but to head into either Swamp or Mire. And as we mentioned, without Hammer, Swamp is absolutely not appealing in the slightest.
Yep. So meanwhile, we have King of Samaria in Spiral Cave.
So there's your King of Samaria, which you need to finish Mire. So Mire, a required double dip. We kind of knew it was regardless, but there's, I guess, still the potential it could have been on Catfish or in the first chest in Swamp. But beyond that, Kane, so far, this trip up to Death Mountain has not really gotten Zelda much. Which, I mean, to be honest, probably feels bad in the moment for him, but might be a good thing for him because, finding any other sort of progression here would push him further and further away from Ice Palace.
The madman is going to third block without Fire Rod. He could be blocked very early, so not exactly a bad play.
No, he's not going to be able to check a whole lot of much, especially if it is Fire Rod locked. Given the way the seat has treated him so far, I guess I'm not surprised he's seeing the worst in it. We do see TGH check Agahnim Cave, which he skipped over earlier. But deciding to route that in with his Mire check here.
The guy is blocked.
Guy gets the shovel though for his trouble.
Zelda isn't exactly full of options as well after this spike cave. I think the only clearable dungeon that has items is going to be ice. So he could go there.
We might see him opt to do Palace of Darkness first. Can't recall if we're still missing an item from there, but at the very least, he will be able to kill Helmasaur King. But yeah, he's going to be really out of options at that point. You just kind of hope for his sake he could go into Swamp Palace as well. There's more open to him now, but doing Swamp Palace without hookshot feels bad.
There are also a few hammer-related stuff left in Kakariko. The namings are hammer pegs and thieves on big chest and mad batter for him.
Yep, but we actually still don't know what hammer pegs or that final item at Thieves Town is, so that could be progression for him as well.
Well.
All right then. So Zelgadissan finds the dirtiest, muddiest book.
Looks like he's completing dungeons first. Getting crystals is a crystal. And the 5-6 are going to open up Pyramid Fairy.
Yeah, this play makes a ton of sense for Zelga. So both runners in Misery Mire, but one runner is going to be going back to finish it, while the other is just going to be checking the chest and then leaving.
Yeah, as our tracker said, both Ice Rod and Hookshot can be on pedestal because the double what's that name? The double ice room has a small key, so the right side is not going to be blocked by Hookshot in Ice Palace.
Yeah, Ice Palace key logic is it makes your brain hurt. You try to think about it too much, but it is correct in this case that Fire Rod is accessible without Hookshot in that big chest. We did see TGH trying to hover through the in the big key room there. Didn't get very far because the eye lasers kind of make that difficult. The game really doesn't want TGH to be hovering where he's hovering at the moment.
Looks like TGH is completing part for the crystal as well.
Yep, and now with that second 5-6 crystal, I wonder if we will finally get a catfish check.
I don't think so.
I'm just gonna say, nah, it's, you know, it's just catfish. So we're actually going to see TGH head back and finish Palace of Darkness before going to Death Mountain.
Meanwhile, Zelda is doing the big bomb and might continue to Palace of Darkness as well. But I think he's doing bombos before that.
Yeah, Bombo's tablet can route that straight into a pyramid, fat fairy, catfish check. Just kind of do it all in a little chain there. So we do see Zelga heading north here, and yeah, it looks like he is going to be doing that item check chain.
Although I still don't think he's going to check Catfish. I think he's going to finish Pod on this trip.
Well, it may depend on what he finds here in Fat Fairy. You know, if he finds some sort of progression there, maybe he opts to skip it. Zelga using a neat little glitch there.
If the big bomb fuse counts to 0 while you screen transition, you get the bomb back. Doing this trick allows you to run with the big, quote unquote, with the big bomb.
Yeah, I know. I was very confused the first time I saw it. So it's a very neat trick to make that walk a lot faster. And I believe Zelga can put it off no longer. Can ignore the catfish's existence no longer here, and we'll be doing that check.
And it has
Just a single arrow.
oh,
No catfish.
Zelda back up the Desert Mountain, going to check the Ether tablet.
Yeah, Zelga is quickly running out of options. He has, and you mentioned the kind of remaining items in Village of Outcasts that he now has access to. He can still finish Pod, but still not finding progression.
Question is, so TGH with the Fire Rock, he can go deeper into Turtle Rock. Will he do that?
That is the question. I mean, from his perspective, he's missing the Ice Rod, he's missing the Hook Shot. That's really all that's left to find for him. So, you know, there's quite a few items to find in Turtle Rock, and there's always a possibility Ice Rod is somewhere in there. So I absolutely would not find it crazy at all for him to dip into Turtle Rock at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we saw on zelgadissan's side, after getting that 300 rupees on Ether tablet, realizing that red herring shovel to book in Turtle Rock was for naught.
But the good thing is, wow, the swag,
Yeah.
King of the Mario block punt.
I mean, at this point, from zelgadissan's side, you might as well. Just, you know, this seed hasn't necessarily been going his way so far, so just, you know, swag it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Now the good thing of Zelda's side so is when he find the fire rod, when he finishes Botula, he can check the pedestal for us.
Certainly can. I will be interested to see. TGH is coming up here on Hookshot Cave. I'm feeling pretty confident he's going to be hovering this. Will there be progression in one of these chests? Tempered sword. Okay, so he does get a tempered sword out of his hovering expedition there, which is very nice, but it is not progression.
But it's going to make Turtle Rock easier, especially the pokies. You can double spin them with the temper.
Yeah, I think hovering is one of those things. It's really cool, and in some very fringe cases, it can get you a pretty nice leg up on your opponent. But it's so tough to do, and so rarely is actually beneficial. In this case, it is going to be slightly beneficial to TGH with that tempered sword.
For God's Master, we are going to have a pet check right now.
Yeah, I think from zelgadissan's point of view, if this is not a pedestal seed, he probably feels like he is in a really bad position. There's the final sword.
Which is not what he needs. So where does he go from here?
Yeah, if hookshot being go mode could actually be really bad news for zelgadissan as well now. Because if it is, he is almost certainly not going to be checking hookshot cave again. So Zelda finally getting back over here to Village of Outcasts to do these checks. Progression here would be pretty big for him. If you were to find something like, if you were to find the ice rod here, that would be pretty big.
It's blue.
It's blue, but doesn't quite have the same effect, unfortunately. I mean, it'd be pretty neat if you could just throw a bunch of blue rupees at Trinex to take him down.
So where do you think is going to be our last two progression?
Ooh, well, the way this seed has gone, I would not put it past it to have Hookshot here in Turtle Rock and Ice Rod being somewhere in Swamp Palace.
Well, Hookshot is here.
I mean, look, I just say it like the seed has been the seed has been just trolling our runners over and over again, so why not? Is that a caster curse or a caster blessing? I'm honestly not sure.
It looks. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's the cyber chat there saying, Zelga checking this before Ice Rod. I think at this point he's feeling like he's got to double down on the gambles he's already made, and unfortunately, just none of them seem to be working out in his favor.
While there's still one saving grace for him. That's Ice Rod is also in Ice Palace, but behind that hammer.
So I'm trying to think. I think we only found one item there, or two items. Sorry.
I think we only found one. The first chest is a big key. The double ice core room, small key, big chest, fire rod, tea room is the map, I think. And the sweet chest is another small key.
So that's definitely in play. Zelgadissan is finally going to make his way into Ice Palace. He's really out of options at this point. So no choice but to head into here, and he will probably not be super happy to see that fire rod. But of course, Ice Rod is on Laser Bridge, and that means that TGH is in go mode.
And confirms he has quite a lead.
And this is just this is kind of what it can come down to a lot of times. I don't think either runner made terrible calls, made terrible plays, but TGH's calls just went in his favor. Finding that fire rod early in Ice Palace, and now finding both those items here in Total Rock.
A beautiful Trinex fight. Pulling on the spikes as they no longer do damage when the bolt is down.
Yep, and so TGH only has a very quick go mode Swamp Palace left before he's going to be able to head up to GT. Oh, Chad is correcting me. He does have to complete Misery Mire as well. Obviously, was not able to do that earlier due to the Kanan scenario. But even that should be pretty quick since he's already got the big key for it and he can just head straight back to Vitreous.
Yep, and with Silver Arrows, that's gonna be a quick fight.
And unfortunately, just kind of further compound the troubles for Zelga. With that hammer, he is going to be taking more time in Ice Palace than TGH did, checking those other chests that were not available to TGH at the time.
Yeah, so with Tempered Sword and Silvers, TJ is gonna check absolutely no chest here in Swamp Palace.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No reason to check anything further. He has all the items he needs, and fortunately for Zelga, not getting that bomb jump.
And without a hook shot, he cannot access the big chest from there.
Yeah, and then I guess the big question on Zelga's end is he going to go straight back to Turtle Rock with that Fire Rod? Or is he going to try to dip Swamp Palace, which would be really unfortunate?
Zelda finding his Fire Rod. Let's see where he goes next. Skull Woods for him. There's still 2 items in there.
Yep. So he'll do this dungeon. I guess really the big question is going to be coming once he's finished this, and he is always going to do this first. So the real big decision is going to come once he's completed Skull Woods.
And as Chad is pointed out, TJ has a fantastic Argus fight there. He's hooking the pulp from basically point blank there.
Yeah, I have to imagine at this point, TGH is feeling pretty good. Like I said, so many of his routing decisions, early on, that early Aga 1 dip, was maybe a little bit questionable, but it was easily correctable. And then, yeah, I think everything since then has been pretty on point. But, especially once you hit go mode, especially with these guys here, you just kind of buckle in. You just put all your focus into it. Because at that point, once you're in go mode, you no longer, thinking about, routing decisions or anything like that. You're just strictly focused on execution.
making good use of the green goo the game gave him. Takes on Monster just fine. Meanwhile, TGH is on the victory fight. It's going to be his 7th crystal. While this is not Speed Game Network, we can still play the big key guessing game. So put your numbers in. Where do you think the against our big key is?
Yep, in a number between 1 and 22. Could be in one of those locations again as tower. Blessed, where are you feeling today?
I'm feeling it's going to be number 8.
I will stick with my usual number 11 guess. It's got to be right one of these times.
So as we enter the final stretch, if you like what you're seeing here this race, don't forget to follow the runners, TGH and Zelda. They're putting on a great show for us today. And if you want to go ahead.
I was gonna say, just absolutely. These are two fantastic runners, and definitely recommend giving them a follow.
Yep, and as we're entering the bracket stage, if you want to watch more ALTTP Randomizer Tournament, this is ALTTP Randomizer Network from no number to 4, and there's the Speed Gaming Network that hosts all the tournaments, including this one, the Speed Gaming to Speed Gaming 6. So don't forget to give those a follow as well.
Absolutely. This, ladies and gentlemen, this tournament is just getting started, and both of these runners already guaranteed a spot in the bracket stages. They will be here with us for a while longer. So definitely stay tuned. Looks like TGH finding that small key is going to go right side.
Yep. Meanwhile, Zelda unfortunately makes the choice to go to Swamp first. So, well, he's going to find his Tempest Sword up there in Turtle Rock, but he's not going to find what he wants here in Swamp.
I actually don't know that he's going to find that Tempered Sword, because unfortunately, Hookshot being where it is in Turtle Rock means he's going to go mode on that Ice Rod.
Yeah. I totally forgot to just cover that.
Yeah, so I mean, zelgadissan, it's maybe a bit academic at this point, but will likely be on Master Sword for the rest of this run. No big key through the right side. So TGH will be grabbing that last small key and mirroring back. Believe that is 6 chests there.
Mm-hmm.
Torch is number 7. As we head to the Stalfos room here. So there goes number 11.
Mm-hmm. Let's see what number 12 has for us.
Just the big 20.
Using a blue boomerang, as you said, when we pick it up.
Yeah, just some really neat time-saving tricks here using that blue boomerang. So find the Mire shield before Rando room, and still no big key.
Well, here it is. That's number
I believe that's number 14.
I think so.
Yep, that was number 14. And I believe Rauschstar was our lucky winner here. Well done, Rauschstar.
Yeah, he called the fire rod. Now he calls the against tower big key.
Yeah, can I get some lotto numbers from you, Rauschstar? In any case, we have TGH going through the gauntlet here. We saw him practice that a little bit earlier.
And Zelda finished up the left hand side of swamp. He knows he needs to go to Turtle Rock now.
And really clean land mode 2 fight there from TGH. So, yep, that gauntlet practice paying off. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful with rooms as well.
So just to kind of, for people who are just joining back in or just joining in, this race really was decided on the first major divergence that our runners took. All things were kind of even through the first parts of this run, with it being an Aga required seed. But as soon as they had that divergence, TGH going into Ice Palace, while zelgadissan chose Misery Mire, both ended up being required. Mire had the hammer, Ice Palace had the fire rod, but it's unfortunate for Zelda because Ice was a pendant dungeon. He elected to not head there until very, very late in the game. And kind of since then, he's been making gambles. He went into Turtle Rock early. It was fire rod locked. Yeah, the seed just kind of hasn't played out in his favor, unfortunately, where it has for TGH in most instances.
Now TGH completing the swag, halfway in Modern 2.
It took him a couple tries, but TGH not one to be deterred by a simple Moldorm 2 fall.
That sounds like a double.
Yeah, I believe that was a double. The couple of those shots were too close together for it to be a triple, unfortunately.
Down to half a heart.
but gets the Aga 2 kill there.
Clutch kill.
Right as Zelgadissan is getting his hook shot from the big key chest and Turtle Rock. And it's off to Ganon we go.
And Egan dying on 2 shots there confirms the first style actually being a triple because he only got 3 shots after that.
Yes, so. TGH, no fear. Head straight into Ganon with half a heart.
There's, well,
Yeah, I don't believe he has any safeties either, so that one didn't go so well, but he should have, probably plenty of health here to finish this one off.
here's a couple of green goo. Not that that's going to be helpful here against Ganon. Yep, got the 12 required shots in very quickly with that invincibility frame from the hook shot.
Yep, very nicely done there with the Tempered Sword on phase 2. On to phase 3. And Ganon, yeah, not terrible. Wasn't doing too much teleporting around.
And a nice triple for the end here.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go for more swag with the silverless kill of Ganon just for funsies, but TGH gets the triple, finishes off Ganon, and we'll be heading through the door to finish with a official SRTV time of 1 hour, 47 minutes, and 51 seconds. Well played to TGH.
Let's see if he wants to come in for a talk. He's in the waiting room, let me grab him in. And we are joined by winner of this race, TGH GG.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks. What's up, guys?
Not much, GG, sir. So, this being a 5-1 race, there wasn't a ton on the line.
Yeah.
Kind of, I guess, give me your mindset heading into this race. I know we saw you do a lot of hovering.
Yeah. I had it set in my head that I was gonna hover to whatever was at the Spectacle Rock Cave. I just decided I was gonna do it before the race started if I had the boots. this case, it happened to be 20 rupees, so it was pretty worth it though. But yeah, it definitely it was a race. It was a race that I decided to be pretty experimental with, which I'm sure at least some people noticed. My routing choices near the beginning were a little bit erroneous or a little bit weird. I forgot to activate the flute, which was fun. What else? I went to Death Mountain before going to Eastern and Saha. For whatever reason, I guess that was just like a hasty decision. Other than that, though, I mean, the seed was pretty linear. Actually, very, very linear. And those are the seeds I think that I'm the best at for whatever reason. So, but yeah, it was a clean seed other than the beginning, for sure.
So the major difference between you two is while you were going into Ice Palace, Zelda went into Mystery Mire. You know the hammer is in there, so he
Yep.
got a lot of world open to him without the fire
Yeah.
rod.
Yep, plus the back of ice too, so you probably finished ice, I'm guessing.
He got all the
Once you finally
items.
went in there.
He got all the
Oh, you got
items.
all the items. Okay.
Yeah. So, and by the time he went back to Ice Palace, he already had checked the pedestal
Okay.
with the book, which was from that shovel in Turtle Rock, which he also did
Oh.
before Ice Palace.
That's actually really funny.
Yeah. So unfortunately, the book ended up being just kind of Wild Goose Chase, as you're probably seeing on your screen here.
Yeah, I'm looking
which
at
is
it
where
right
the
now.
last sword was.
Where was the
But,
last one? Sorry.
Oh, it was on pedestal.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so it really, I mean, you guys were neck and neck for most of this race, and yeah, it was just kind of once the world opened up to you, it was, yeah, you opting to go to Ice Palace while he went to Misery Mire. That was really the big difference.
Yep.
So 6-1 now. You obviously you already had your ticket punched to the brackets, so there wasn't much to worry about there. But it's kind of what's your mindset heading into brackets? What are you looking to maybe practice or maybe routing decisions? Are you planning on changing up much, practicing much, or are you just kind of going with your normal flow?
Yeah, I do plan on doing more seeds. I haven't actually been doing that much rando lately, but I do intend to get more into it once, well, yeah, like pretty soon. I intend to get more into it. Yeah, I just need to play more. I mean, like, the more you play, the more you know, really. That's the thing about randos. The more you play, like, the more experience you have, the better you get at routing and, like, making situational decisions. And it's just that kind of game. And I'm a little bit rusty, but I intend come brackets to not be rusty. So we'll see how that goes. As far as game plan, I don't see much to change, honestly. It's just like, it's I mean, I might play more or less aggressively depending on who I'm facing, but other than that, it's not that much of a difference.
So back to the Ice Palace for a little while. So what made you decide to make that play instead of other available plays?
To be honest, I was thinking about Ice Palace before even going into Thieves Town, to be honest with you, because well, I had the flippers. The flippers were a huge tell that there was something in ice, but I decided to do Thieves Town instead first because it was quicker, and if there's something in there, I'm gonna regret not getting it, obviously, because it's Thieves Town. even if it's pendant, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Pendant Thieves Town has been the bane of many a runner.
But yeah, it's like when you're given a choice between a pendant dungeon you can't finish and a crystal dungeon you can't finish. I'm gonna choose the dungeon that potentially has more items open to me. And in that case, it happened to be Ice Palace. Plus, the logic was pointing heavily there as well, because we didn't have the cane by that point, so there was no, it was kind of a toss up at that point between Ice and Mire. But I decided Ice just because of those flippers.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, you got not only got flippers, but you got Bombus immediately before that too.
Yeah.
So
Yep, definitely.
All right. Well, any final thoughts? We got Zelgar at the moment is heading up Death Mountain towards GT, but any final thoughts on the seed or anything going forward?
Not really. Just thank you guys for commentating. Thanks to ALTTPR Randomizer for restreaming on short notice. Thanks very much, guys.
Yeah, well, thank you too. With our runners, we wouldn't even have a tournament.
Absolutely. So, all right. Well, we've got zelgadissan going to be heading up to GT. Unfortunately, missing one sword with hookshot being in Turtle Rock and him being in go mode afterwards. Not going to be going back into Hookshot Cave.
Yeah.
So he's going to finish up the rest of this with that Master Sword.
So we see Zelda trying to hammer dash the Linos here. While the hammer has the hitbox during that hammer dash, it does not have a hurt box, so it cannot hit the enemies, only the pegs.
Yeah, definitely does make getting through that Lionel section there if you don't have tempered a little bit more difficult.
I've seen some runners hammer dash and then stop at the Lionel to hit the Lionel. But yeah, if you don't stop, you don't hit the Lionel, obviously.
So Zelga opting to go full left side first, which will be beneficial, seeing as how the big key was in Rando room, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, it is. It did in window room on the top left chest, which somehow you checked first out of the 4 TGH.
I always check that chest first in that room. It works better for as soon as you hit the switch, you hold up and right, and I'm trying to maximize dashes. So, and that just happens to be the best way to do it in that room for me.
Yeah, all the little tricks you can do in random, right?
A lot of people don't realize how much the little things add up. Even things like that. You know, you're gonna make mistakes, but like you might as well do that if you can. Just save. As cliche as it sounds, saving the frames.
Yeah, I would say, especially at this level, when you got two really, really good runners, yeah, every second counts. Zelga grabbing all the chests there because still looking for the last sword, which unfortunately we know is not going to be here in GT, but he will be heading up to his gauntlet. Nice dash through the spike room there. Doesn't quite get that dash, but we'll use the invincibility frames from falling to get through the cannonball bridge. I did see you practicing this just before the race started at TGH, the gauntlet.
Yeah, it's
is
just a little warm up.
Yeah, I can definitely see how that would be a good warm up.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most input intensive parts of the NMG speedrun. I usually use the gauntlet to warm up for NMG, so I figured I'd do it for Rando as well. I like how Ganon killed me on a 1 in 8 chance. The fireball spawned like literally inside of me.
Yeah, we
That's
were
the first one. Yeah.
we were wondering, it's like, oh, half a heart. He's probably feeling pretty good.
Yeah, if it were NMG, that heart, sorry, not the heart, the bat would have spawned somewhere towards the upper right because of some variable that changes when things spin. It's like, I don't know, it's called arc variable. I know enough about it to know where that bat will spawn in NMG, but in Rando it's completely different every time because you do different things. And if you don't fight Ice Armos, that can happen.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the interesting differences between Rando and NMG. Because obviously NMG is going to be static. You're doing the same things every time. But yeah, Rando can be so wildly different each run. Zelda needs to be careful. Doesn't have a lot of magic. Thankfully, the Chessie Mist is easily gotten to with the lamp, so. No, you need that key, Zelda. Unless there's a key here.
Fake powder.
Oh, that's sweet. I just saw that on my end.
Yes, Zelda gonna have to backtrack a little bit, grab that key. There he goes. It's like when you forget your key as you go out to your car, You're not gonna get far before you realize your mistake.
It'd be hard to remember to get that key.
Oh yeah, especially at what time are we at here? Right around hour 2 of a tournament race. Absolutely. Zelda does get the dash through there, and we'll head on to his Agahnim fight. Alright, so zelgadissan gets his Agahnim down, and we'll head off to his Ganon fight. Going to be a little bit different, a little more challenging than TGH as it was with that Master Sword. Does have silvers, thankfully. Get some really nice positioning from Ganon here. Unfortunately, I'm not able to get as many spins as he would like on it. But he is into phase 2 now. Oh, but Ganon being really nice. Gives him great position here in the corner. Zelg's going to be able to get a bunch of spins off. And with that, on to phase 3. It's 2 arrows into Ganon. It's number 3. And number 4. So Zelgadissan gets his Ganon fight finished. Just a little swag. Ganon Burna moonwalk into the door, and he will finish with an official SRTV time of 2 hours, 7 minutes, and 30 seconds. And we'll see if Zelda is interested in joining us for an interview here. All right, and we are joined by zelgadissan. Zelga, GG, and
Hey, GG's.
Yo, GG Zelga.
Yeah, so if it wasn't obvious from my routing, I felt really behind really early. So it kind of just snowballed from bad gamble into bad gamble on top of bad gamble into bad gamble from bad gamble from bad gamble. And that's pretty much how it ended.
So basically, it was a random seed, is what you're saying?
Well, yes, but I took it to some extremes. Like,
I hear you.
yeah, like I went into Turtle Rock kind of early and got the book, and I was like, this has to be something because I gambled so much time coming up here. So I specifically like went to both tablets, checked the pedestal, absolutely nothing. I ended up going back into Thieves Town to check the big chests because I didn't have Hammer my first time through. And I had everything narrowed down to Swamp or Turtle Rock. So since Turtle Rock was would probably the higher quality play, I purposely went to Swamp because I already knew I was behind. That's the kind of stuff that I did.
yeah, well, I can tell you that this race was actually really close, and I think you might have had a slight lead. Hard to say. The sea was pretty linear, so I think it's easier to tell you had a little bit of a lead. What it really came down to was the first major divergence was TGH went into Ice Palace right around the time you were going into Misery Mire.
Okay, that makes sense. I was really thinking about going to Ice Palace early, but again, I felt like, okay, that's kind of where the seed I think is wanting me to go. But I already felt so behind. I was like, I need to be checking some other stuff to make up this time because especially the way the seed started, with like getting the bow in Eastern and then going the up Aga Tower and everything. Everything just felt like it was kind of like a standard NMG style thing to me. I'm not an NMG runner, but I knew I wasn't gonna be ahead of someone like TGH going into that just off execution. So I knew I was behind pretty early, at least in my opinion, and that's why I just kind of kept making all the weird plays.
Yeah, so you know, and CG said it's a rando seed, so that's kind of the way it works sometimes. But yeah, I think it really just came down to that finding that progression in Misery Mire that pushed you away from Ice Palace, I'm sure. So it's kind of one of those unfortunate things where, you know, Misery Mire was required, double dipping it was required, but you know, just kind of pushed you away from that progression at Pendant Dungeon.
Yeah, well, like you said, that's kind of rando. It's like it have that idea to go into the Hammerless Ice Palace, which I really thought about, but I was like, oh, I'll just go to Misery Mire. So yeah, that fully explains pretty much everything. To be honest, that Fire Rod kind of hit everything.
Yeah, but you know, the good news is you are already guaranteed into brackets, so no worries there. And you know, might as well get a seed like this out of the way, or a run like this out of the way before brackets. So, you know, there wasn't much on the line for you guys here today, other than pride. But
that's true. I mean, I certainly still wanted to put up a good showing, and in some ways, I feel like I did. In a lot of ways, I feel like I didn't. But like you said, I'm really just glad to kind of get it out of the way and look forward to the brackets and hopefully perform a little better.
yeah, all right. Well, just any kind of closing thoughts from you, zelgadissan? You know, obviously moving into brackets now, is there anything that you're specifically looking at in your game that you kind of want to tighten up or practice a little more?
Just kind of general execution, especially just general movement, I think is something I really need to improve. Like obviously this seed doesn't show it, but I feel like overall I kind of have a decent grasp on the routing. It's just I gotta kind of to really hang with the big boys. I need to up my execution, and that's what I'm going to be practicing the next few days.
Well, awesome. I think your 5-2 record more than speaks to your capabilities in this game. So, definitely looking forward to seeing you guys going forward in the bracket stages. Once again, thank you both for an awesome race. Thank you for running this for us.
Thank you guys, and Zelga, good luck in brackets, dude.
Thanks. Good luck,
Thanks
man.
for the
Looking
race.
forward. Maybe we'll catch a rematch.
For sure.
All right, awesome. And also, thank you to our tracker. I believe that was CyberChow X. Thank you to our restreamer, No Name 4444. And thank you, Blastag, for co-commentating this with me. We have plenty more rando going on. We're winding down week 7. Let's take a quick look at the schedule. Looks like we have another race here starting. Actually, it should have started just a little bit ago on ALTTP Rando 4 between Frecker 22 and ACM LM. That should be a really good one. And then starting about 15 minutes on Speed Gaming 3, Unfit versus Swerb. And later on tonight, at 11 o'clock Eastern Time, on Speed Gaming 4, Sarah X versus Cryptics. And at 11:30 on Speed Gaming, we have CDU versus Dragon Master 0283. So plenty more randomizer if you enjoyed what you saw here. As for us, we're going to go ahead and sign off. Once again, thank you, everybody, and have a great night.